my water bill yesterday. Last month, it was $43. This month, for some reason, it's $100, and I don't know why, because I don't think we've been using as much water. So it's very strange how billing works. Sometimes billing, I guess billing can make mistakes and they can undercharge, or I don't know. It's really, I hate it because it's like you can't predict what the bills are going to be by your actual usage. You know, it's all over the place. I think electricity does the same thing sometimes. Gas has remained the same over the past couple of months because, you know, we've not used as much gas because we don't need to heat the house, and, you know, we only use the stove for that kind of thing. I actually do need to turn on the fireplace and let it run for about a minute or two, just to, you know, make sure it still runs. It's something you got to do with these gas fireplaces. So we got our gas fireplace here, and we have a little switch over here. You turn the switch on, and then I don't know if you can see it, but there's a little electric arc that happens in kind of the center area here, and gas is coming through a pipe. I think there's probably air in the line to start with, but that little thing goes for about, I don't know, about 30 seconds, and then it auto shuts off if no fire starts. And you've got to do that quite a few times if you've had a large space in between when you used it. And I don't think we've used this thing since March. So it's nice to know that the spark still works, so that's good. I mean, it's not like that they break very easily, but you never know with this kind of technology how stuff's going to work. And you see it's still, you can't hear it, but there is a little arcing sound that it makes as it's trying to light the pilot light. And once it's lit, it stops arcing, but it automatically stops arcing after like 30 seconds if no fire is present. That way it doesn't burn the mechanism out. So, okay, so yeah, it just stopped. It may be, I don't know, I always thought it was 30 seconds, but you can come over here, turn off the switch, and switch back on, and then start it back up again. I grew up with gas. I grew up with gas stoves all over the house. We had one central gas stove in the living room. It was surrounded by bricks. That's the reason why I have a scar on my eyebrows, because I tripped and fell on those bricks when I was very young and learned not to run around because the house, it was a double wide, and the living room, dining room, kitchen area was all connected by a roundabout, basically. Ooh, it is starting to fire, which is good, but it stopped. Let's start it up again. It's starting to fire. I don't know exactly why. I mean, I would assume maybe air in the line. Not using gas in a line for a little while must do something to the gas. I don't know the technical stuff about that. I just know that we should probably light now. It's trying really hard. There it goes. It lit. Whoo, whoo, whoo. And then you've got the really nice fake wood, and then there's fake stuff that kind of catches and glows like their embers glowing. And then this is going to steam up because of the moisture that is inside of there. Just because it's sat for a little while, and, you know, it's not exposed to the outside except through that pipe. Oh, and I guess there is a vent for the heat coming out of the back of the house. So, what do you think, Indy? Good? Is it good? So I like to wait until all the condensation from the inside is gone, and then I will turn it off. But it's actually a really nice fireplace. There's a battery behind this lower deck here. You go back here, and then you can put a 9-volt battery into, or maybe it's 2C batteries. I always get them mixed up. Into an igniter. If the electricity goes out on a cold night, you can still run this. You just put the two battery types that it's needed in that little thing, and then it should be able to spark and light everything up. So it's a cool little feature. Not everybody that bought one of the houses got the feature, and then some of the fireplaces, they're not in the corner. Some of them are on the side over here. It just looked nice over here on the corner, we thought, when we were building. It doesn't take very long. And you see there's a really pretty glow in there. The fire itself is nice. You can tell there is some air in the line though, because where it's burning off at the top, there's a little bit of oxygen burn off at the top. The blue stuff is all the natural gas. So, but there's always air in lines like that. So you can kind of see everything's drying out in there. The natural gas, the fumes are pulling the moisture out. And like I said there, I forgot, but there is a vent in the back that kind of vents some of the heat and unused gas out the back on this side of the house. So it does have a little bit of exposure to the outside. So, and that's not like rain gets in there, but moisture gets into everything. Just ask my joints. I mean, this is as cool as making coffee, to be honest with you. Just let it all go. It kind of ticks and talks a little bit because everything's heating back up. Yeah, you should. If you have one of these, you should definitely, if you intend on ever using it, you should definitely at least run it once a month. And I'm behind by 3 months, so oops. You just run it just to make sure, you know, the gas is coming out properly, everything ignites properly, and everything inside there that needs to reacts properly. So I'd say that's probably good enough, at least for our purposes. I'll shut it off here. And then, poof, there you go. Burns off that excess gas. And it's run, and then everything kind of deglows. It's actually kind of nice. Ooh. Water's done. And that's our short field trip. I need to get the coffee ready. Peruvian today from Island Roasters Coffee Company in New Smyrna. Good stuff. Got a really nice smell to it. Whoop. I've had beans escape like all day. So I did stream a little bit yesterday for about 2 hours. I was hoping there would be more to the new expansion that was coming out for Warcraft, the War Within. Maybe it would start some different things. They only seem to have added war bands right now, which, you know, not terrible. I mean, not like I'm going to complain about it, but still, it just seems like not a lot. When they're like, hey, the pre-patch is dropped. And it's like, we know that there's going to be more stuff coming. And then, you know, they just trickle everything out. And that's kind of, I don't know, that can get kind of annoying sometimes. All right. About 33 grams worth of coffee. Oh, I meant to spritz those beans. Guess we'll do it in the container. No, I'm not, I need to shake it a little bit actually too. There we go. Meant to spritz them. I didn't. There's a little bit of static that develops on these beans, so let's go. I think we got it. Looks like we did. Great. I'm going to clean that out now, though. And no static. Marvelous. Perfection. No, not perfection. Just good. I'm glad. 0. Thank you. Around 33.5. So today I was going to do a little bit of a stream. We are going to go get, when he gets home, we have to go buy some new shoes. My shoes that I've had for several years now have kind of worn themselves out. So I need to go and we need to buy new shoes. So I now have a prescription for shoes. I don't know how I feel about that. Says the reason is plantar fasciitis. So because of that prescription, we're going to go to a store and get 15% off of the shoes. So cool. All right, come on. There you go. Oh, start please. There you go. All right. Got ourselves a nice little bloom going here. Everything going. Here we go. So, I was going to stream today. There's a new game that has arrived. There's a lot of people complaining about it, and it's really strange. Everything has gone a little. I suppose everything's been like this for a while, but it just seems like a lot of horrible people have come to the forefront now, rather than hiding in the shadows and maybe making a comment every once in a while. The game is EDF 6, Earth Defense Force 6. Aliens have landed. It's very like them. Is it them or they? The giant ant movie. And the giant cockroach movies, and the the giant spider movies, and the giant grasshopper movies. It's like they breed giant insects, and then they unleash them on the world that they're trying to conquer in order to wear people down. And then the second force shows up. 500, nice. Which is comprised of the aliens. And then the aliens kind of come in stages, and then there are robots, and then there are the main aliens, and then the end battle is a Titanic, giant ship that's trying to take over the Earth. Is their last line of defense for the aliens. So we have to destroy the ship. So it's like a building thing, and it's very 50s sci-fi kind of based, 50s 60s sci-fi. Giant bug mashup. It's a fun game. It's waves of insects just running at you, and you having enough firepower to kill them in a couple shots, but that doesn't mean anything, because where you kill one, 5 of them have come right up behind him. So that's a whole thing, and it's a lot of fun. But this particular game apparently has some third-party software that needs to be installed. I bought it on Steam, but you have to have the Epic Game Store in order to play it. Now, I have the Epic Game Store because I bought some games off of Epic, because sometimes their sales are a little bit better than Steam's, and I've not had any problems with the Epic Game Store. So I don't have a mug. Actually, I do have a mug. I cleaned this out yesterday, so we should be ready to go for coffee in Stitch again. Hello! So, and a lot of people are complaining, and a lot of people are saying, I want a refund. I don't want third-party software. And then you've got these people, and it's really strange how people will immediately back corporations that they don't know. It's just so strange. I think the word for them is like pose. POE, like Edgar Allan. They just take any situation where they can take the opposite stance and just attempt to make what you're saying, which is completely valid, meaningless, because they're like, well, you didn't read the fine print. And apparently to read the fine print that there needs to be third-party software, it was a very deep dive. More of a deep dive than an 18-year-old just starting college that wants to play the game is willing to do. So it's not unreasonable to be upset about the fact that you're going to need a third-party software in order to play online stuff. But there are just folks out there who are more than happy to just take the opposite. I mean, whether it's right or wrong, just take the opposite, direct, exact opposite of your stance, and just, browbeat you to death as if it's some kind of a gotcha. It's just it's tiresome. It's tiresome, and it's ignorant, and it's just, it hurts people, because it's like, you may have a very incredibly valid point, but now this other person is browbeating you, and so it brings doubt, to your point, and that's not necessarily needed. I mean, especially in this case, because people are upset that there's going to be third party, and the fact that the third party is buried so deep in any kind of TOS, terms of service, and even on the web, the page where the store page for the game. The very first article right now is, "We're sorry we didn't mention that you would need Epic Game Store." So it's like everybody is poing these people saying, I don't want third-party software. And here the developers have put on the store website, "We're sorry we didn't tell you." But there are still people out there saying, "Well, you should have read." And you know, if the people that made the game are saying, "We're sorry we didn't say anything up front," then that's a problem. You know, and that's a legitimate problem. Oh, yes, very nice. Got like a nutty smell to it. Anyway, so that's my rant about people today and how aggravatingly annoying they are. I mean, you run into that everywhere nowadays online, on any kind of online interaction. You know, somebody immediately, for absolutely no reason other than their own funsies, takes the alternate point. You know, it can be for the most horrifying stuff. You know, there are still people out there that blame, you know, others for horrible things that happen to them. You know, I don't want to give any examples because I don't want to upset people, because the only examples in my head are incredibly upsetting. And, you know, I'm sure you can gather from the way I'm saying that what I mean. You know, there's still people out there that will victim blame for whatever reason. I don't know. Switching gears. Nice cocoa notes, yeah. Very nice nutty taste to it. Very little bitterness, even though the bitterness is there. Very little bit bitterness. There's no acidity because it's a medium roast. It's a really nice flavor of coffee. Yesterday I brought up the riff tracks. I kind of wanted to talk about that just for a second, as long as the battery doesn't overheat on that shall not be named, otherwise it will turn itself off. I put in the Kickstarter thing. That's the thing in the past that I put money in for to get this live show funded. So part of and that tier that I went into was write a riff. So I wrote a joke, and in this case I wrote 5 jokes. And then they're going to pick one, and then that joke will be featured during the live show in Minneapolis, and then that live show will be broadcast August the 8th and August the 13th, rebroadcast on the 13th to theaters nationwide. So, and you know, there's a lot of different parts of that process. I get to work with one of the writers in case there's a problem with one of my jokes or they need to tweak one of the jokes. I've been very fortunate in that we haven't had to tweak any of my jokes so far, and I think this will be the 3rd time. First one was with Swamp Thing. The second one was with Rad last year, and then this year will be the Point Break. So I'm very excited. It would be nice if I knew what joke it was so I could listen for it and know what part of the movie it is. So last year and the year before that, I was working with Sean, who's one of the writers. This time I'm working with Connor. I love both of them. They're both great. Poor Sean had some issues this year, health issues, so he was in the hospital for a little bit. So he looks much better now. I saw him on a couple of Zoom meeting calls because he posted pictures of him in the hospital and then him in the last day in the hospital, and he looked thin as a rail, and I'm like, oh my gosh, it was just bad, whatever was happening to him. So Connor was working with me this year. I had an email to him. He had sent an email to me. I sent an email to him. He may email me back. I emailed him back. And then since I've not heard anything, and so I don't know what joke they're choosing. So hopefully I find out. And then but in between that, they send me a copy of the movie with time code, and they use the time code, and you put the time code in exact, it's like, you know, it's an hour, minute, seconds, frames. You say the exact frame you want the joke to start, and then roughly the joke starts then. That way, you know a joke's going to be long enough to fit in between the spaces, and you also know the exact point where the person wants the joke to be placed. So that's kind of how you write it. You write the time code down, you write the situation, just after breath, just after pause, and then you write, in the way, at least the way I did it, is as this character, or as that character, or as yourself, or, as a horse, then you can add a little bit of a horse whinny to it, that kind of a thing, and then you write your joke. So it's not hard to follow the format. And like I said, I think I watched the movie 2 or 3 times and just wrote down a series of jokes for the entire movie, except for certain spots that would require a little bit more lengthy, more research to try to fit jokes in there that fit the situation. Probably movie references, maybe even references from books. That's kind of where the deep dives happen, where the if you know jokes kind of happen sometimes. Because all the other jokes are situational and you can react to it. But if it's like a long car chase or a long foot chase, it's really hard to squeeze in jokes unless something actually happens on the screen, because otherwise it's just 2 people running. Just 2 people running down alleyways. Maybe down one alleyway you see a sign or a poster and you're like, oh, what's that poster say? So you slow down and maybe you have 4 frames while that's in frame to make a joke about it, if you want to make a joke about it. So that's a little bit more difficult. And that's the process. And then I submitted 5 of those jokes out of the, I don't know, probably 60, 70, 80 that I wrote, and that I thought were funny to me. And so we'll see what happens. Hopefully, I think I remember the places where they go. So if I don't get an email back saying what jokes went where, at least I'll kind of know where they should be. So I'll see if any of them, and I'll probably take the email with me so I can read the 5 jokes back that I wrote in the situations where they happened. So, in the movie that they show at the theater, there's no time code at the bottom. The time code's just for refers to, like I said, pinpoint exact places where jokes should be. So anyway, so that's kind of that process. And it'll be fun to see where it goes. I'm really excited. Even if he doesn't get back to me, I'm still really excited because we're going to watch it live. It's so cool. Thank you so much for watching today. I hope you have a wonderful weekend. I hope it's as wonderful as mine. And I hope that Delta allows us to have a flight there and back this Friday and then on Monday. That would be lovely. Let's cross our fingers and our toes and whatever else you feel like. Cross your eyes, cross your eyes. You can do it. We'll talk to you later. Have a great weekend. We'll see ya. Bye.